Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Beyond Massage. In today's video, I'm actually going to be getting a little personal, as I'll be sharing the story of my business and lessons I learned from my time as a business owner and ultimately the closing of my business. I've had time to reflect on this, and it's really my deepest hope that sharing this will help others maybe not make the same mistakes that I made when I was running my business, and help you thrive, or if you're kind of in my shoes or making the same mistakes I was, help you make a decision as to whether or not you need to start over or even make changes. So what exactly is the sunk cost trap? I don't know if you've ever heard of that before. I've heard of it in the past, but it's just been a refresher for me after a recent article I read. And in the words of Alyssa Haynes, it's the feeling that you've put so much money, time, or effort into a situation that you don't want to let go of, even when the endeavor is not bearing any or enough fruit for it to be successful or financially sustaining. I made a lot of mistakes when I was starting my business, and every step of it was a learning curve for me. And for the sake of this video, I'm going to try to keep this brief, but if you're interested or have more questions, please feel free to leave a comment, or you're welcome to send me an email as well if you want to keep it more private. So number one, don't dive in head first, especially without a mentor. A good friend of mine presented the opportunity for me to run a space pretty early in my massage career, about really 1 year into it. It was super affordable, and I knew her really well as we'd worked together at another spa, and I was just dangerously enthusiastic to just jump on this opportunity. At that time, while I had experience working and doing massage therapy and working with different types of bodies, and I also took some time to prepare a website and proper booking software and getting more of the mechanical functions of the business set up, I was definitely not financially savvy enough, marketing savvy, or all in all, just really business savvy enough. I didn't crunch many numbers besides rent, insurance, zoning costs, and I really failed to look into small additional costs like supplies for the office, phone and internet costs, laundry costs, commute costs, what I could do with taxes and write-offs, you name it. I mean, I really just did not look into the specifics of it. And I feel if I had a mentor that I could have been a little bit more successful in these initiating steps. I jumped in quick and just started up a Groupon while I was working at a corporate franchise just to really get the ball running. And this kind of brings me up to my second point. Don't undercut yourself and be wary of Groupon. Groupon is great. It can be an awesome vehicle of advertising your business, outreach to clients, and you can very quickly get your books filled. However, if you don't read the fine print and crunch the numbers, you can really undercut yourself, meaning you'll be working twice as hard for not as much money. If I could go back in time, I would have actually had higher rates, so I could have gotten a better payout for the Groupon clients I was working on. But because of the way I had set up my compensation, I was only making about $17 per 60 minutes of massage. Unfortunately, Groupon clients are often not going to be your long-term ideal client. While some clients may use it to shop around and to find a new therapist or a good therapist, most Groupon users are coming in for a one-off or two-off affordable session. To give you a figure, of around the 400 Groupons that I sold, about 25 of those clients became long-term or returned once or twice to pay full price for their sessions. And while there's nothing wrong with using Groupon, it's very important to figure out what kind of clients you want and how you want your business to grow in the long term. And if you think Groupon will support that vision, that kind of brings me into my third point. Have a vision and have a goal for your business. What will your business look like, feel like in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? Do you want to stay a solo massage therapist and just be booked out and have your schedule set? Or do you want to employ other therapists? How much money do you want to make in a year? What do you have to do to make that much money in a year? It's so important to be financially conscious of your entire business and what you want as, someone who desires things, knowing what you desire for your long-term business outcome. It's also important to look at your current situation and to see that if the current situation, be it your location, your prices, if you have staff, your staffing, your marketing, everything supports that vision, and if it doesn't, to make changes that will support that decision. Because I dove in head first and I didn't have a mentor, again, I didn't have a mentor outside of free classes, I didn't have the structure for success. I was very day to day or week to week with my income. And when I was tight, I would develop a discounted service or invest in additional add-ons for my business rather than look at the finances to see what was going on so I could accurately restructure everything so that I would be more well supported. Location, location, location. Now, that space I first spoke about at the beginning of the video unfortunately did not work out. About 3 months into my lease there, a pipe exploded over my massage room and I quickly had to shut down my business and find another space. And it was really hard for me because at that time I had, sold so many Groupons and I just felt a lot of pressure to find a place as quickly as possible without losing too much money, because some of those Grouponers were getting refunds and they were calling and they were antsy about receiving their service. So when I did find another studio to rent, I didn't vet that space and I made the same mistake again, just like I did at that first one. And while the physical location of the practice was great, it was in a nice little secluded neighborhood, I later found out that there was infestation in that building, which was a huge health risk to both myself and my clients. On top of this, noise was a huge problem as there were yoga classes going on in the same building and the ceilings were false. And the needs for my business, such as like signage and marketing and other things, were more so sidelined by the landlord I was leasing from, and it just wasn't a serendipitous situation, so I once again decided to move. I also want to stress the importance of having a lawyer that you can talk to and consult at any time, and knowing your rights as a tenant, especially if you're leasing commercial property, as the commercial property leasing laws are a little bit different than Virginia landlord-tenant law or just tenant law in general, if you're on a residential property. I did manage to find a really great space. It was recently renovated in a really nice area. The building was wonderful. The landlord and I were on the same page. Our values were aligned. But unfortunately, the space was a bit too far away for quite a few of my long-term clients. And that did cause an income loss on top of another move. And with the pandemic slopped on right on top of that, it just ultimately made me have to close my business. Which was a really hard decision because the financial impact was just too much to deal with from all of the hopping around and all of these changes. And it was really tough because I'd finally found a place to settle and the pandemic happened. So the short version of this is just to really vet your landlord, vet the places that you'll be renting. Do you and the landlord share the same values and understanding of what you'll be doing with that property? Will your needs be met? Is the building in good condition and there's no infestations of any kind? Is the lease fair to you as a tenant? Can you talk to other tenants to get a better idea of their experience there? Definitely take time to do these things. I absolutely made mistakes with this, and always, always, always do your due diligence. Don't just take a space because it's the only thing available or it's the first thing that you feel like you need to grab onto. So for my last point, I want to talk about doing work in your community or communities that are aligned with you in your profession. I'm sure we're all familiar with chair massage events, right? Going out and doing little tabling events and offering brief, massages as a way to get yourself out there, to get your face known, talking to people in real life. That's going to be a huge anchor for your success for the long term. There are also events if you live in more populated areas. Hospitals tend to offer Nurses Week. Schools may do something like Teachers Week. And you can go do volunteer work and work on those people and maybe even print out like a $10 off card and hand it to them. Talk to them. Take a moment. Give out brochures. Whatever it is you feel like you need to do. I made the mistake of working too much and not getting myself out in the community enough. I didn't utilize social media. I didn't jump out into the community. I didn't take the opportunities that I feel like I could have taken to really get myself out there so people could put a face to a name, more or less. And while Groupon was helpful in getting me a bigger email list, at the end of the day, if people don't know who you are or what you're doing, you're not going to grow organically in a way that is sustainable. That being said, if you're also trying to advertise in communities that don't necessarily align with you or the work you do, you also aren't going to have as much success. I want to give a small example in that I did try to provide chair massage at an art show, but unfortunately they canceled me very last minute, and I wasted time and money trying to get involved with the community that at the end of the day wasn't actually really as supportive as I would hope. So definitely find those communities to help you. You know, I honestly feel like the lack of community engagement was my biggest failure when it came to trying to grow my business. I was always so focused on digital marketing and keeping the finances up that I forgot to engage with my community at things like yoga and health events. And if I could go back, I would absolutely start slow and go this route instead of jumping to Groupon and working my buns off. Closing my business was probably the hardest decision I've ever had to make up until this point in my life. You know, when you're putting blood, sweat, and tears, time, and money into something, especially, you know, I did it for 4 years, it's tough. It's really hard to make decisions that are actually, in the long term, probably in your best interest. So it's important to check in with how you're feeling. You know, are you dreading going to work? Are you excited to go to work? Is this draining you or is it energizing you? Is it making you passionate, or do you feel like it's become something you're just like having to constantly pump into to keep alive? You know, after letting my business go, just 1.5 years later, I've completely more than financially recovered. Like, I'm financially blessed at this time, and I'm just in a much better place mentally. And so if you ever have to make this decision to really let go of something, be it a brand, idea, business, whatever that you've worked a long time on, just know that it'll get better, things will improve, and the time you have away from it will allow you to reflect. You know, having my own business gave me a deeper insight to the success in the life that I really want, and stepping away from it gave me a better perspective on how I could do better and why what I wanted wasn't manifesting in those circumstances. As hard as it was honestly the best decision I could have made for myself, remembering how much I was struggling with that decision. I love massage therapy, and I'm grateful to practice it, especially as we recover from this pandemic. Get vaccinated, please. And I genuinely hope this insight to my failures helps you thrive. Sometimes a losing story can give us perspective, and I hope this helps you grow in any way, shape, or form. And as always, thank you for listening. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and comment down below if you've ever been through something like this or want to share any of your experiences as well. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time.